Hello and welcome to day 2 of the Ballarat Blitz this weekend, made possible by the support of the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government. On behalf of Netball Victoria and the Melbourne Vixens, we would like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung people as the traditional owners and custodians of the lands we're on today, and pay our respects to elders past and present. We've got an exciting matchup today between West Coast Fever and New South Wales Swifts. Matt, what a game we're in for. Let's have a look at the starting sevens.
Yeah, let's go through them for the West Coast Fever. In goal shooter, welcome back Romelda Aiken-George, who sat out yesterday. In goal attack, Sasha Glasgow. Wing attackers Alice Teague-Neald. In centre is Verity Simmons. Jess Ansie's captain in wing defence. Fran Williams takes up the goal defence bib alongside Caitlin Brown in goalkeeper. And for the Swifts, goal shooters Grace Nowicki. Goal attack, Grace White. Wing attack, Gina Crampton. Centre, Taylor Fraser. Wing defence, Maddie Turner. In goal defence, Tegan O'Shaughnessy. And goalkeeper, Sarah Clow.
Exciting couple of fresh faces we haven't seen for both sides out there at the moment. Romelda Aiken-George, a pretty handy inclusion to have. We spoke about this off air, but actually her fourth club that she's been a part of, and what a handy option to have inside the circle. So she's been with the Firebirds, where she spent most of her career, then the Adelaide Thunderbirds, won a premiership with the side, New South Wales Swifts last year, and now in with the West Coast Fever, and looks like she hasn't skipped a beat so far.
It looks like she slotted in very well. You can see that big leg covering on the leg, which I think I mistaken for tracky pants yesterday on the sideline. But she's already off to a great start, and what a target to be able to bring in as a maternity leave replacement for Janelle Fowler.
And a very similar game plan as well, which allows the Fever to not have to change too much in terms of what they're used to and what has got them to be such a successful club throughout the past few years in terms of having that strong holding target.
And we did see yesterday when they were running the smaller lineup, not small, actually small, but smaller, with Olivia Wilkinson in there for much of it in shooter. They were trying a bit more of a moving option, but obviously now with Aiken-George, you've got the target that you can aim for.
Absolutely can, and as you mentioned, finding the goals pretty easily is Aiken-George. And then in terms of the New South Wales Swifts, we see Taylor Fraser returning back to the club. She spent past 2 years with the Mavericks and now moving back to the Swifts. It's really interesting to see what she's going to bring in that dynamic role through the midcourt.
And she's found herself in the leadership team this year for them as well, so obviously considered very valuable member of this lineup this year. And oh, what a shot there from Grace White. Just launches and loads, and sinks her first. Double
Grace circle for the Swifts. I like to see that.
Yeah, I'm sure we can come up with a few options of the types of grace that you can have.
Never too much for the Swifts.
Sometimes grace is what is needed, and a little bit of prayer and hope. As you can see, Aiken-George just waiting to see what Clow was going to do before putting up that shot. Sinks it very cleanly. That's already 4 goals apiece. Probably had a bit more of a cracking pace than a couple of the games yesterday were. They seem to be off to a bit slower start.
Yeah, the intensity is right up from that first whistle. I think both teams have put out really strong lineups, and you can see that these are combinations that they've been working with for a while throughout this pre-season. So really interesting now to see if this tempo remains or if it is just that first quarter, get out all that nervous energy and anticipation, and then if things start to mellow out a bit.
And for the most part, these are looking a bit more like the settled lineups you're probably expecting to see from both these sides. Bit of experiment yesterday, bit of trial, a couple of options, but you can see there's absolute purpose when you're starting Grace Nowicki at one end and Romelda Aiken-George at the other.
And that's what I thought that was going to go in there. I'm really enjoying the confidence there from White just to turn and release at the moment. I think yesterday she was a bit hesitant on a couple of those shots and doubting herself on whether to back herself in, but today she's got that real confidence, and I suppose having someone like Wiki in the back end or, there to rebound is such a comforting thought to know that if this does fall short, you've got someone like Wiki competing in the air.
And so strong. We spoke about how strong she is in the air, and positioning of the body, definitely an asset there.
You can see Fran Williams just working on White off the line there.
Brown had a little bit of a hunt and Hedge just lost it a bit too much for that release. You can see the ball right over the top. It was a great ball in. Worth the hedge, just not quite as much on it.
Up the other end now. Teague Neal working into that wing attack role. We know how versatile she is between circle and wing attack. And that was a lovely placed feed. So really goal for goal at the moment, and they're scoring with great pace. How about that pass? The absolute precision and control there.
And for a moment there, it looked like it was going to sail over the top. Nowecki just glided up and managed to get that hand onto it, ripped it in.
Did it so gracefully as well. Just made it look easy for all of us watching at home. It wasn't easy.
It was not easy at all. And let's see, Glasgow looking for the offload.
And Aiken George providing the goods there. Always love that little moment when Clow and Aiken George, when she stepped in there, Clow was like, I'm not giving up that space.
And I would maybe question how much she was close to that. Yes, there was a little step in, but I think the ground of foot wasn't as far back as maybe initially thought. 8 goals apiece, not even halfway through this first quarter. No issues with getting from transverse to circle like they were having at stages yesterday, the Swifts. Scoring with a lot more ease, just showing how good these dominant shooters can be. Just a little bit too much on that one though from Verity Simmons. Sails through the hands of Glasgow.
And Swifts straight into attack now. Crampton through the midcourt up high, but quickly splitting through the middle. I really like that that idea or that option of Grace Nowicki just coming straight through the middle and commanding that space. It kind of gave them a really different look just then.
It did indeed. And the fact that she's going to pull those in and keep someone on her back, but still gain space and get some pace on it, an absolutely valuable option. Getting a little bit more cramped up for a moment. There are some hands on it.
Swifts managed to keep that one onside there. Grace White just was caught in two minds, and that allowed the Fever to pounce. Fancy footwork there from Teague Neal. 1-2 over the top to Aiken George. The yips a little bit, takes a breather, reassesses, and makes sure that one goes through.
And they're the ones we had spoken about yesterday. Sometimes they're the harder shot. She was so far under the ring on that to try and get her angle and her release. Not quite as easy even for a tall bird like that. I say bird in the sense that being a firebird, being a thunderbird.
Yes, nicely played. Don't think they have a Fever bird yet, though.
No, they were, of course, prior to Fever, the Orioles back in the day.
There we go. Going through the history of it all, and that's a beautiful pass and delivery into Wiki, and she enjoyed that one, slapped the hands together, was happy with that. So scores are still 10 to 11, maybe about to be 11-11. No, not if Sarah Clow has anything to do with it. She knew that one was coming and just reeled it in.
And the transition's quick, it's swift and straight in.
You didn't get away with that. That was nice. Nicely done there.
I had no other option. That can be, with Verity Simmons, is sometimes when she's on the run like that, she can force that ball because she doesn't have the capacity sometimes to stop. But, gee, she works hard the whole time through. And I'm sure she'll make sure this one is pinned perfect.
And it sure is. Just that perfect pop out there from Aiken George. Such a steadying head in that shooting circle for the Fever.
And interestingly, compared to the games previous, Sasha Glasgow only put up the one attempt so far. That really says about what a difference having Aiken George in the shooter bib does. Glasgow's doing a lot of work out the front, but significantly less on the shot.
And it's interesting, there is a good showing in that she can do both. Sometimes people have questioned, how often she'll go to post, and it just showcased yesterday how dominant she can be. And I'll be interested to see, we're just about to move into that super shot range time. Is that going to be a feature? Do we look to Sasha Glasgow to become that dominant two-point shooter that we're about to see?
And the other question is, will they keep Aiken George on during that period? It doesn't look like they're thinking of any change currently there.
Super shot time about to begin, just figuring out where to set the penalty. And there you go, Sasha Glasgow from range and sinks the first one. So clearly a game plan and a tactic that the Fever will be looking to utilise once again this year. And why not when you've got such a strong hand under the circle? Well, inside the circle, not under the ring, that's for sure.
Oh, exactly right. The target is no good there for Grace White. A little bit off on it, but she's been so dynamic so far.
Really liking what Caitlin Brown is bringing to this defensive end for the Fever. Good hunt and anticipation on that, just not giving up any space.
And the contest there, not quite placing the right spot. Aiken George just saying, give it up high. Not sure what the call is. Oh, contact or obstruction call there against Glasgow, bringing it up the court.
Turner now trying to find her teammates in the blue. We're used to seeing them in the red, but the Swifts are wearing the blue today.
Yeah, I quite like it as sky blue, a traditional New South Wales colour, of course, but
it is.
That red, so striking for the Swifts. 14-13, still 4 minutes to go in this super shot period.
I'm liking this approach from the Fever. They're happy to play it around. Typically, we've seen them just go for that long bomb, even if it's not there. On that option, the shot fell short, but the play in itself was quite measured in attack.
Yeah, it was a smart little set up a little. Just poke in front and try and open with the foot there, but it was not a characteristic shot of Glasgow.
Just almost missed her hand a little bit when it just dribbled down.
They're the ones that shooters look at and go, ooh, what happened there?
They thought we were going to get Grace Ricky signing up for a 2-point shot, but it was Grace White instead that drained that one. So 14-15, 3 minutes left in this opening quarter of game 1 of the day. So there's another game to follow, but day 2 of Ballarat Blitz. A nice little offload from Aiken George into the hands of Sasha Glasgow. She wipes the hands on the dress. Must be a bit of residue on them. Just rings out there, bobbled out. Opportunity now for the Swifts to counter-attack.
Yeah, I mean, no luck so far in percentages. It's just the 1 from 3 there for Glasgow on the super shot. 2.5 to go, and it is just one the difference. Nowicki, she's going to look at this super shot. We saw her sink them beautifully yesterday, but look, the length was good, the line not so much.
Great positioning by Grace White on the other end to keep that one in, and then doubles down and shoots it herself. The confidence is sky high from White.
Oh, what a delivery.
Really interesting though. Wiki was in good positioning, but really opting for that too, and why not? The hot hand of Grace White strikes again. And now they've created a handy buffer, 5 goals the difference in favour of the Swifts.
Just showing how valuable that 2-point shot was on that occasion in particular. And Glasgow not even looking like coming in for that one. Aiken George briefly looked around and realised, hey, I better sink this one. Keep in touch with it for a minute and a half to go.
It is that really tricky decision, I suppose, when the shots aren't sinking. How about the pass? White not happy with it under the post, wants the 2, and why not? That is 3 in a row off the hand of Grace White. 6 points in a matter of moments.
Incredible, and what a fly at the ball that was. A terrific take there from Tegan O'Shaughnessy.
Confidence from the Swifts is really high today. Hunting those balls and just backing themselves in, aren't they? And
now the confidence you can see of Crampton's feeds. She's had a beautiful couple of long ones that haven't gone with too much height on, really flat. She's seen eyes down, and it's helped that transition. That's what's resulted in a couple of these goals. All of a sudden, 22-15 with the centre pass and 40 seconds to go.
And it's really interesting to note when to go for the 2-point and when to just stick to the single shot. We saw in that passage of play just before, Wiki right under the post, happy to steal it. Now she's going for 2 points, falls short. And now Fever coming through with a contact call there. Less than 20 seconds to score. Can they do it? They have the towering target of Aiken George up the other end. Just needs some separation.
Expecting the drive to go a bit further down on that one. Teague Neal just been a bit reluctant, and I tell you what, when you've got Caitlin Brown doing that at the back, it's a great way of stopping. It's a big first quarter, 22 points the way of the New South Wales Swifts, 15 the way of West Coast Fever. We've got a big match ahead, and I tell you what, we'll need a little break, and we'll join you again soon.
Girls weekend. Relaxing day. Come on, did you get? Oh, this feels so nice.
How relaxed do you feel, Kate?
12 out of 10. Tell me I look pretty.
You did lift some big heavy weights this morning, so you did.
Massive,
Yeah. You are probably the strongest vixen in the team, so you probably need that arm massage.
They should get Melbourne Vixens colours just for our weekend in Ballarat. What have we got, Jojo?
The raspberry drops.
It's iconic. They're iconic Ballarat. Ooh, bao bun, dumpling. Yum, I'm actually so excited. Because the ice is too bright. Oh, it's getting cold. Oh, there, look. Oh, cheers. Girls trip.
No, mocktail.
Want to try?
Cheers. Ooh.
Your fairy floss fairy tale fantasy. I made it just for you. Do you love it?
10 out of 10. Oh.
You giving it back?
Rolling subs are great for being able to get players on as coach, but just that grind out the 15 minutes stuff. Yeah, exactly.
we're back for the second quarter of Ballarat Blitz, game 1 between West Coast Fever and New South Wales Swifts. It's currently the Swifts with their noses in front, 22-15. A couple of changes out on court.
Yeah, there have been. Yeah, Swifts have pulled a few changes. Look who's in goal attack. Helen Houseby.
A handy inclusion to have, if you don't mind.
Yeah, and that sees Taylor Fraser also move from centre into wing attack. And then the inclusion of Maddie Proud into centre. Clouds moved out to goal defence as well. We did see that a little bit yesterday, so that's not a big surprise by any means.
And then Shani Lambden in at that wing defence role. So pretty much a completely new looking side in terms of position changes and new personnel out on court for the Swifts, which is interesting because they were really dominant in that opening term. Oh, Aiken George just yanked it in. Plenty of energy. She was commanding that ball. She didn't want to be missed. And that's a lovely shot there from Sasha Glasgow. It looks like for the Fever, they've kept things pretty much the same. Happy to just grind it out.
I think with Glasgow, because she was just the 1 from 3 from the super shot, getting her to find her action again will be so important for them.
Giving her those opportunities, not just when it is super shot time. It sometimes can be a bit hard to go from not having many avenues to goal to then all of a sudden being expected to shoot every single super shot that comes your way.
And interesting with the score being so fast and frantic that there was actually a few penalties that came up. Both teams over 10 penalties in that last one. But what a transition there from the Swifts. And you can see Nowacki's very, very happy with that.
Pointing to Lambden, that was Lambden that came through, just streamed through that pass and managed to collect it. And the 1-2 from Fraser into Houseby just edges out. We haven't seen that too often, but no other than Wiki under the post to mop it up. Now Fever trying to find a way forward. Aiken George just directing into that backspace, and beautiful positioning there and placement on the pass. Penalty called against Sarah Clow there, and Aiken George makes sure of it there.
And interesting, so Clow half attempt the hunt wide. She just reacted a little bit later than she would have liked. But otherwise, I think she might have tried eating that up against Simmons in the pocket.
Going cross court now, Lambden. Really strong hands over pressure and marking from Fever here, just not allowing an easy access into goal. Maddie Proud now, top of the circle.
It's pretty hard to stop a feed from top of the circle to Grace Mweki.
It's almost impossible, isn't it? It's not a job that you want to have to be trying to stop that one. Teague Neal with a high looping pass, 1-2 into the hands of Aiken George. Not happy with the positioning. Simmons now made that look easy, didn't she?
She really did. She was quick onto it and ensuring that she was going to release as soon as she saw the option available. And Aiken George just had the great positioning behind.
I think there's been a few instances where the Fever have just halted 1 or 2 extra seconds, and it's just closed up Aiken George's opportunity there. She's really commanding the ball, but just that hesitation to go long, and there we go.
What a
hand.
take!
How did she manage to keep that up? Aiken George can't believe it. Saying to Tim Marshall, that hit the ring.
And my eyesight's not always the best, but from here it kind of looked like it did.
I was also thinking it definitely hit the ring.
So I can understand why she was saying that. But the call is the call, and it goes down the other end. And Ricky says, I am not going to hit the ring. I'm going to make sure it goes in.
Nothing but nets.
29-19. They've boosted out a nice little lead here, the Swifts. Be very happy with what's going on. Let's see what change is about to occur with the Fever and see what they can do.
Looks like Scarlett Jauncey is warming up on the sidelines, so definitely one to watch in that goalkeeper position.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what she does against Nowacki. She's not afraid to have a bit of a go at it, and the combination of her and Fran Williams was working quite well yesterday.
It did work really well, and it was one we haven't really seen that before, so a great opportunity again for Scarlett Jauncey to showcase what she's got in store.
Swifts with the quick transition. They're right on the end of it. That was like a training run, the patterns they were just running there.
It was like they were dodging cones almost.
Oh, it was perfect setup. There's a nice full court drill for at home. A nice prelim move, finding himself on the end of it, and the timing was just superb.
The speed to burn there from Maddie Proud. You wouldn't know that she had a child last year.
Kept herself extremely fit and ready to step back into it. And it's nice for a side to be able to trade out players of sorts in that same situation.
Pretty much, yes, exactly it. Paige Hadley, of course, not with the New South Wales Swifts out on court at the moment.
Glasgow, what a rebound. Just hitting the back of the ring on that first one and then sinks it. Brings them up to 20. Not quite as furious and moving as quickly as the previous quarter for both sides, this one. But Swift certainly up and about. Oh, just that little bit too much on that one, which is not often. Because Nowicki pulls almost anything in.
She got hands to it, but yeah, just too many weak picks on that pass and trickled over the edge.
Simmons wants a long one. Doesn't come, so they're happy to go patiently through.
Really just getting caught on that side fever. At the moment, they can't manage to find a way through the middle.
And the played ball has come. It slipped out of the hands briefly, a little bit of a wipe. Look, I wouldn't be surprised to see a ball change coming soon as well.
A little bit dewy, almost like muggy in here with the air conditioning and the warmth of it. So it's just slipping off the fingers for a few of the players.
Obviously, it was an extremely hot day here yesterday, above 30, and the stadium was feeling it. And stadiums don't tend to cool down massively overnight.
No, they don't.
Even though it's only meant to be around 22 today, so much cooler.
Melbourne weather at it. Oh, I should say Victorian weather.
Ballarat
at its
weather
finest.
in this case, yeah.
Victorian weather at its finest.
And of course, we'd like to thank the City of Ballarat and Victorian Government for putting on this show today, without whom we could not be doing this, and we wouldn't be here with such a terrific crowd already in the building. And I imagine that'll build for the Vixens.
Great to see so many fans out and about and supporting this weekend of netball.
And it was close to, I think it was 2,900 in here yesterday is the number I heard. So great numbers getting out into country Victoria, and especially leading into a period of time that footy netball starts coming up and about, and a lot of Saturday moving into it. So what a time. And timeout has been called. This time by the Fever.
And we hadn't seen a tactical timeout in that first quarter. We actually chatted about it off air and said there was no tactical timeouts. Yesterday we saw quite a number of tactical timeouts from both games that we saw. So really interesting now. The score's kind of blown out, an opportunity potentially for the Fever just to reassess and settle down and just go back to a couple of their structures, hear from the coaches and reprioritise. And
with 2.5 minutes to go, if you're the Fever, you're wanting to bring this target back a bit leading into the Super Shot period. Grace Nowicki, she's been so strong there for the Swifts. 22 from 22 of 1-point shots. Not quite as successful looking for the 2-point one, missing a couple of those. But down the other end, you've also got Romelda Aiken-George sitting on a good 15. Just a little bit more volume is the difference going on there.
Just the confidence to release into Aiken-George, and it's one of those things, she's incredibly strong in holding that space, so just being able to release as soon as she opens up, just starting to increase that volume and applying the pressure then back onto the Swifts defenders to make sure that they're constantly giving her attention.
And now's a great opportunity against such a solid lineup as the Swifts had defensively. It's working out the difference of where you could give it to Janelle Fowler versus where you're now giving it to Romelda Aiken-George on this. It's going to be slightly different, but they're able to start cleaning that up a little bit now they've got that different defence against it.
Exactly, and it's not long until round 1 of the Suncorp Super Netball starts, March 15. You know, the clock is ticking down before that, and this is pre-season, perfect opportunity to learn those little tidbits and work on it and craft it, go away and then get ready for round 1.
I've also seen a change at that break. Jess Ansters moved from the wing defence bib into centre, replacing Simmons, and we've seen Caitlin Brown come on into wing defence as, of course, Fever sink that through Romelda Aiken-George. Let's see what this change brings defensively for them.
interesting to see. I don't think we saw that combination yesterday. So again, a different looking defensive lineup. As we mentioned, Sunday Aryang unfortunately not available due to injury for this entire season for the Fever. So trying to figure out how to fill that hole and work through the defensive structures.
And the other Aryang being Ruth as well, having the unfortunate injury as well. Different stages. It's starting to find some rhythm, you'd hope, the Fever with Aiken George. And I think maybe the idea was, let's have a bit more of a defensive mindset from the four people there. Simmons obviously such a strong attacker, but if you've got Anthony, you know that she's going to be more defensively minded there.
And trying to shut down that speed and power that they've got in the attacking end for the Swifts. We've seen Proud come into centre and hasn't skipped a beat, and then Taylor Fraser in that wing attack role. Grace Wiki now solidifying her standings with another handy goal. So 11 goals the difference, 23-34. And as we mentioned, super shot time just about to come. Oh, O'Shaughnessy out hunting. And little offload there from Aiken George just to give it to her shooting counterpart in Glasgow.
It had some nice hunts, both defenders here in O'Shaughnessy and Clow for the Swifts. And you just have a feeling that a couple of those are really going to start coming off any moment now. And that's going to be scary to come up against.
It definitely is. And I'm liking that combination of O'Shaughnessy back in that goalkeeper role, allowing Clow that extra space to go out hunting as well.
Super shot periods. The buzzer is gone, or the hooter, I should say.
It's sounding stronger today than it did yesterday.
Yeah, there was a brief moment where it did sound a little bit faint is probably one of the words for it, as Housby thinks at one point are happy to tick that over as the first attempt in the super shot period.
I wonder if we'll see the inclusion of Grace White. Had a hot hand in the back end of that first quarter, 3 in a row. If they're looking to extend this margin, is that an avenue that the Swifts go down?
And the other thought is whether they look at doing the Housby-White combination in there for a couple more super shot options.
You can see the thinking there from both Clow and O'Shaughnessy was to double team Glasgow and just leave Aiken George under the post, clearly conscious of that 2-point potential.
Lambden did a few nice little I'm going to pass the ball fakes. And then something eventually opened and the work he doesn't, she just, find space like there's
no tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. And find space like it's a new frontier or something.
It's Grace Wickie's world and we're just living in it.
And it's such a good world to be watching.
How's about the speed from Proud just to find that space in the pocket? And then delivery once again into Wiki, and the Swifts are really humming. Aiken George rolling sub off the court, and now Olivia Wilkinson comes into that goal shooter position. So we spoke about White potentially coming on from the Swifts, but for the Fever, they're really wanting to push for that 2-shot potential with Wilkinson and Glasgow.
Yeah, it's a great thing to see in the contact call. Taylor Fraser also maybe copping a little bit in the head as part of that one, just shakes it off for a moment. The jaw feeling a little bit sore. 37-25, 3 minutes to go.
Fever bench was happy with that. They got up and cheered on their teammate. Not sure what happened there. Glasgow.
Certainly none of the players seemed 100% sure either.
They were all looking around. Even a couple of fans were asking the question. But never mind, we play on, and that's a settler for Wilkinson, her first shot of the game, and an opportunity now for the Fever to go 2 in a row. Wilkinson outside of the circle, need 2 in there just to provide an option. A lot of preliminary moves, and there you go, 1-2, Glasgow.
And you notice that a lot of the time, Glasgow doesn't like that first move for the 2-point shot. She likes a little reset on it. Maybe just to find some slightly different feet and allow her a bit more time on the shot at a different angle.
Keep the defenders guessing, but that shot just falls short. And Wilkinson.
That was well done.
Sarah Clow trying to do everything she could. Wilkinson, though, makes sure of that one. So steadily eating into the margin, but haven't landed that super shot yet. So still 10 goals the difference. Fever 27, Swifts 37, and Housby
Oh, what a chase down, but it's eaten up by Caitlin Brown at the top of the circle. And now Fever, they're wanting to transition, sends it wide. And so much work happening out in front now. Teague Neal just trying to make something happen, but Landon really riding her well.
Just covering every single dodge and move, and then imposing that 3-foot marking. That's a beautiful lean from O'Shaughnessy, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't bother Glasgow at all. Beautiful shot.
And when we see that consistency from Glasgow, she is scary. Wilkinson just looking for someone to open up. And this is the thing, Fever have hugged that far pocket quite often. And when it's not working, the only option is to kick it back. Lucky they had someone at the line. Wilkinson this time for the 2.
Just falls short, and Clow picking it up. Strong rebound there. Just knew it was going to drop short and boxed out Wilkinson.
And it was interesting, the late attempt there from Clow. She'd let her have the set because the balk was coming in. She knew that, and then she just threw the arm up last minute. Really just put some extra doubt in. 24 seconds to go. Still 8 the difference.
Fraser just caught up high. Both teams struggling to find a way to goal now. Clock
What a
ticking
heart,
down.
Chauncey.
And that's what we saw from her yesterday, and I think that's definitely something we can hopefully see more of this game.
Oh, and she almost got this next one as White. Long shot, no good.
And just not enough time for the Fever to get that ball back down the other end of the court. So a blockbuster second quarter. Swifts really put their foot down throughout that term and opened up the Fever in a few different ways, especially in that defensive end.
I'll tell you what, the Fever having that change and put a little bit different pressure than on Wecky, and it's so hard to stop such a good player. Because we talk about tools, and sometimes the game gets a little bit boring when it's just long ball into a tool, but when you're an exciting player like Grace Wecky, where she's pulling in balls that no one should be pulling in, but she's also coming out of the circle, she's creating options, she's having to go at these 2-pointers and looking confident on them, even though they're not necessarily sinking.
Confidence is key, though. Just being able to have that repetition and backing yourself in against quality opposition. We've seen Jauncey, we've seen Fran Williams, we've seen Caitlin Brown all trying to stop that influence of Wiki. So it's going to be something to keep an eye on. And I wonder if we'll see Wiki for the rest of the game, or whether the Swifts will make a change and allow a couple of other players in that shooting circle. For example, Grace White, who we've already seen. But plenty to dissect, and what a blockbuster second half we've got.
We have indeed. Join us again after this short break for plenty more of Ballarat Blitz netball. We are back. It's a big second half here between West Coast Fever and New South Wales Swifts. The Swifts have been on top early, but the difference is just 8, which is, of course, 4 super shots. And tell you what, the Fever have had a few attempts at some super shots.
They have had a few attempts at super shots, but they've only converted 2 out of the 7. So sitting at 29%, definitely an area that they'll be looking to improve coming into the third quarter. In those final 5 minutes of the third quarter, I should specifically say, because we know that the super shot doesn't run for the whole game. A couple of changes out on court for both teams, it looks like. Swifts have got a number of new faces, especially with, I think that is Courtney Castle in at centre, so replacing Maddie Proud. And then Grace White back out on court in that goal attack position, replacing Helen Housby. And the Fever are looking like they've kept that same lineup, except they've got Sloane Burton out there instead of Sasha Glasgow. So a couple of changes across the court from both teams.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have a bit of a go with a couple of different lineups. They came out with the strong ones, and you can see Aiken George is on the bike, ticking the legs over.
Verity Simmons re-enters the match in at wing attack. So we saw her in centre, and then we saw Jess Anstis move to that centre role instead. So Simmons now looking to inject some creativity and flair in that attacking end. Burton with the quick 1-2 there. And inching herself closer to the post, and want to make sure of this one, and she does. So a good injection of her into the game so far.
Yeah, 32-38. They'll be happy with how they've started here. The Fever, see if they can keep this continued on. But the Swifts are going to have some answers, you dare say. They're waiting for it to open up. Jauncey just slightly late on that one, ripped in by Wecky.
Just trying to set the penalty here. Grace White confident, but just rings out somehow. The twinkle toes of Wecky kept that alive, and good goal.
Didn't quite have the same fluidity as some earlier ones there, Grace White. Almost threw it at the ring rather than shooting it. But we have seen some brilliant shots from her across this match, and if she stays on for the super shot period, expect a few more to come.
Well, so far the Swifts have slotted 4 super shots, 3 off the hands of Grace White, so definitely an asset to have. Wilkinson now for the Fever. She's got her eye in, and she made that one look easy as you like. Go for goal in this opening few minutes of the second half of Ballarat Blitz Game 1. Another game to follow between Adelaide Thunderbirds and Melbourne Vixens. So in for a treat, that's for sure.
Geez, that's been a long time in the air. I think Wecky did not have the plan of sending it as high and as wide as that. It's a turnover and an opportunity here for the Fever. And turnover conversions weren't great for the Fever as the game's on. It's only the 50%. So far, Swifts have been more effective in that space, sitting at about 84%.
So definitely an area they'll be hoping to clean up, and they've got a whole half of netball to do it just to get themselves back in the game. That was a clever little pass, an offload from Wilkinson to Burton.
Adding well to her tally. And an opportunity here for centre pass conversion.
The margin's back down to 5 goals, so if they convert here, that's 4, and they're really back within this contest then, Fever.
Cloud just didn't call for the contact. And a little bit on there as we look up and in. It's a lovely shot.
I think a change we also failed to mention was Maddie Turner now back in at goal defence. So we saw Clow in at goal defence and Tegan O'Shaughnessy with Shani Lambden out the front. So really shaking up that defensive options that the Swifts have. We've seen Cloud, Turner, Lambden, O'Shaughnessy. What do you think is their strongest combination going forward? As we can see, these teams have gone into a tactical timeout. Swifts trying to halt the momentum that the Fever have well and truly wrestled back.
I think having some options there is both a curse and a blessing for the Swifts. It's going to depend on what style of play they come up against. Obviously, Lambden was doing so well in there against Teague Neal in particular, and the matchup was absolutely the right one. But having Clow playing both across goalkeeper and goal defence, having her been able to hunt up court has worked well for them. similarly with those Shaughnessy in behind. But I think Maddie Turner just offers something a little bit different to that and just has a fair crack. And of course, had some great opportunities over this last year in there, and we'll see how she goes.
Yeah, it's going to be one to watch. And conversely, for the Fever, what do we think has changed so far in terms of their attack and their intent? They've eaten into this margin. We mentioned it's only 4 goals the difference, 35-39 now. They'd be happy with how they've started.
They're going to post a bit more cleanly than they had been for that little bit, and they're actually starting to convert a little bit of it from their turnover. So really, there hasn't actually, despite the scoreline, hasn't been a significant amount separating these sides. And now it's the Swifts who just caught on the backside of that and wanted to halt what's been going on as Taylor Fraser just gets caught out for a second there.
Just slipped over. I wasn't sure if it was her footing or what, but she managed to steady herself.
Yesterday's decals have been pulled up. There have been just a couple of times where there have been some slippage on them, which can happen as we see a brilliant shot there from Grace White. So we can't blame it on the decals today.
No, we can't. Just maybe the clammy weather. Nice play here for the Fever, just working it round the circle edge. Anstis stuck on the pocket, having to loop across to teammate in Verity Simmons. She tried to balk, got the eyes of Clow, and Wilkinson presented perfectly.
There's some brilliant defensive work going on in that circle. Just the way they're bodying so smart. You see Cloud just trying to guide Wilkinson into different areas using the slightly stronger frame that she has. But Wilkinson able to glide through so nicely. And the other end, Wecky doing Wecky things.
Yeah, but interesting that they're not looking just to go straight to Wiki now. There is that conscious movement to look towards Grace White and utilise her. So I wonder if that's kind of shifting the attention for the Swifts. Opportunity now for them to go back-to-back if they can convert off this turnover.
And now the penalty against Wilkinson. Classic shooter moment where sometimes it's easier to put yourself out of play than continue to play defence, I think. What happened there.
Depends what shooter you're talking about. We know a few that are more than happy to get their hands dirty on defence, and that's nice work from Fran Williams, the outside arm, and donning the bright pink scrunchie.
Yeah, it is. It's very prominent, isn't it? Getting around. And then the call against Nweki comes, and Chauncey's pretty happy with that. And as he said, she's having a fair crack there against Nweki, and we saw it yesterday as well, that each time she came on, she just gave it her all and providing a point of difference for them in defence, the Fever.
Really liking it, just taking it to the opponent and clapping and, you know, really embodying every moment and every opportunity. And that's a good win there, intimidating. I suppose it's such a threat in terms of Wiki, and what I mean by saying intimidating, using her body and taking away the space that we know that Wiki really enjoys and using that aerial ability.
Now 37-41, just for the difference with 8.5 to go. The Swifts haven't had it all their way this quarter by any means, but a penalty, just a little bit of a let-off there, allows the shot of Grace White to go in smoothly. Chauncey will probably be a little bit upset with herself for that one.
Double hands over pressure there from Fraser and Castle.
And look, there's a different defensive tactic going on here. They're really playing spatial defence now, trying to work a bit of a four. They're really concentrating on getting people out of the space and then finding the body to push them out for that moment. And the penalty does go against Klaus. She's had a couple around that similar sort of spot, but she maybe just used a bit too much of a hip.
And the Fever once again. So that margin has slowly been eaten into 38-42. And that's probably the most freedom we've seen the Swifts play with, albeit that pass is just too much on it.
And that's where connection just needs to continue to build there for White. The more she can hit that target, she's going to be so good for them, being able to step in a role when you've got Helen Housley sitting and having a rest. Or in this case, I should say, sitting on the bike and ticking the legs over.
No rest there, no. Still keeping on going. Lambton and Fraser look like they ran into each other. Wilkinson now.
And both shooters stepping off the court to try and gain better position for a moment there.
And Burton just pointing to where she was intending to go.
offside call. No, it's Clow out of play again. And I think some of the time Clow's perhaps getting caught of being the stronger body. It's showing a change that's going on there a bit more than maybe would happen against some other goalers. And they're just going to wipe up the spot where the players come up. Now, not sure what brand of mop we're using nowadays for these, but certainly the squeegee type things that they use are quick on the uptake.
Fever now looking to inch themselves closer. Lambden in best positioning and used her body to protect that. But Turner, just a couple of sloppy passes here from both teams. Jauncey out hunting.
That's a terrific feed from wide. You could see she really wanted to place that one perfectly after her last one had gone a bit errant.
Fraser now fully outstretched and Lambden ball overhead. They're just waiting for an option. Swifts just seem to be forcing it a little bit more in attack than what we saw in that opening half, and clearly a bit of a personnel change in terms of not having Maddie Proud. Just Grace Wiki and Jess Ansters running into each other there.
There's just so much going on. Bodies everywhere. But circle edge has been found nicely. Thinking about it a bit too much there. Wilkinson trying to create a better angle, but probably just needs to let it go and overshoot. Wilkinson keeps it in.
How did that happen? But spectacular work from the Fever front end there.
Well, I think as much as anything, because there's nothing of her. Olivia Wilkinson, she's an absolute waif, can slide through, and she was able to squeeze through a gap that wouldn't normally exist. It was brilliantly done.
It was executed to perfection, and Turner just trying to hold her space. But now Burton, the first super shot off her hand, but the penalties being reset, both Clow and Turner out of play. And there you go, Burton, cool as you like.
And we're back to one.
The change in tempo, well and truly. Helen Housby re-enters the game, so clearly looking for that connection back in the attacking third for the Swifts, and Taylor Fraser tried to get involved in that one, but Fran Williams said absolutely not.
Lisa's it wide. It was an interesting angle on it. They're once again hugging this side of the court and this pocket, and the contact call goes against Wilkinson on this occasion.
Swifts will be happy with that. There's been a bit of whistle down this end and players out of play, so opportunity for the Swifts to convert long down the line. Just caught in this pocket looking for the opening, and there it is. Wiki holding that back space.
And I'm not even sure we can say it's caught in the pocket so much anymore, as it's a clear tactic to be
it
running
is,
down these sidelines.
It's so uncommon to see the use of the midcourt or the middle channel at the moment. It feels like that's just sworn off. We're not going anywhere near it. We're hugging the sidelines, and it's a really interesting tactic.
The fact they're able to retrieve themselves out of it as Wilkinson scores another probably says it so much more about how they've trained this through, and they know that they've still got options and where to get in the line of it.
We see it once again, 1-2 pass over the top. Now Wiki assessing her options on whether to go the two, but went for the solid option of the one under the post.
Nice little pop there from Simmons. Oh, a bit of an ankle. Landed that, she's just grabbed it straight away. It was just poor timing there from Wilkinson.
Just both landed in the same space.
And I think immediately onto someone's leg and foot. She was straight down.
Clutching at it straight away.
And almost every player that was in the vicinity, regardless the team, was right there as well. And they now got on the back. And then the crowd just got a resounding clap. They're glad to see that she's managed to get up from that, but
she looks in a bit of pain and quite uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was immediately clutching at the ankle there as well. So let's hope it's a speedy recovery there for Olivia Wilkinson, and we do wish her all the best, but I dare say that's the last that we will see her for the match today.
Yes, I'd imagine so. And that's unfortunate. She was having such a strong outing for the Fever. Really impressed throughout these two pre-season games, so fingers crossed for Olivia Wilkinson.
She managed to put a good 10 or so on the tally, and the way she was moving was so strong and true. And we made the comment about how she slotted into the gap where there was no gap to keep a ball in as well. And the combination of her and Sloane Burton was coming together really nicely. There's another penalty against Clow occurs as Aiken George returns the court into the shooter position with Sloane Burton out the front.
And she makes no mistake at that time, so just a little bit closer to for the Fever. 1 goal the difference, 2.5 left to play in this third term. We see Maddie Proud re-enter the match in centre, and Fraser just caught on 1 foot, having to Hail Mary that pass up to Wiki. Somehow she outstretched and got there in the end. This tussle for the positioning, it's quite interesting to watch, isn't it, Matt? Just seeing how they're trying to claim top position in this 2-point super shot period, and then for the rest of the 10 minutes of a quarter, they're more than happy to shoot directly under the post.
Oh, it's so fascinating. It's one of the psychological and tactical things I love to watch in these part of the game, is how the players are thinking about when to put up the shot, where they're going to position, and even in that case, almost being on top of each other, literally as well as figuratively.
There was absolutely no space. They were working in inches there.
And in the day and age now of the short pass, it's changed. The rules change, but geez, you still got to give something.
Got to give some room, and Aiken George got a little bit of the yips there. Turner did everything to try and keep that in, but ended up rebounding off the post and Fever ball.
And it's one of the things I do like about Simmons. Like, she was so determined to chase that up and get it back in so they could get set and get ready to run to make something happen.
Doesn't want to miss a second, does Simmons. Wants to constantly be on the go and maximising every opportunity out on court for her team to score. And that's exactly what they did. 45-47.
What a ball.
And there's just the core strength for Wiki, just to absorb that hit mid-air, come back down, land 2 feet. Just phenomenal.
And let's also talk about how good that pass, like, that is a goal defence dream pass, is that the transverse line straight to the shooter under the post. As Grace Weki sinks it to
Helen Housby on the bike, screaming and clapping her hands in the air. Pretty happy with her teammates' choice and shot in that one.
Oh, it was so good. And the little drop doesn't even give the threat of the shot there. Burton was maybe conscious of how long it was taking to turn around. Aiken here just takes her time. It's not too long ago. Gap has separated out again, and this has been the difference, is the super shot sunk, or even in this case attempted now. Housby just looks down for a moment. Was never missing that one.
Never missing that. And my eyes were deceiving me. I said Housby on the bike. That was Gina Crampton cheering her teammates on. And that is a spectacular 5 minutes there from the Swifts, or more or less last 2 minutes, where they really put their foot down, 46-51.
And what a difference that does make is sinking a couple of confident super shots. All of a sudden pushes out what had him back to the 1 goal margin to that. I tell you what, we're going to have a big fourth quarter.
We definitely are, so stick around.
Girls Weekend! Be honest, when was the last time you planned a proper girls' weekend?
Relaxing day. Come on, did you get?
We kicked things off at Ballarat Sanctuary Day Spa.
You need to hold my hand. I'm gonna fall in, she says. Ooh.
Oh, this feels so nice. Hydro pool, jets on, tea in hand, immediate main character energy.
How relaxed do you feel, Kate?
12 out of 10.
90 minutes of pure do not disturb mode, facials, foot massages, lounging by the window like we own the place.
Good.
Yeah, very zen.
100%.
Does our skin look amazing?
Tell me I look pretty. You did lift some big heavy weights this morning, so you did. Yeah. You are probably the strongest vixen in the team, so you probably need that arm massage.
Then it's glam time. Outfit change, obviously.
It's true, it was really nice. I think I'm feeling a bit hungry.
Oh, I'm always hungry. Next stop, Roy Hammond. Ooh. Oh, yum. Bao buns, dumplings. Yum, I'm actually so excited. Mocktail shaking, Korean-inspired yum cha landing on the table. We ordered one of everything. Zero regrets. The vibes, elite. Does the ice actually break? Oh, it's getting cold. Like this. Oh, I know, I'm like an expert. Okay, oh, there, look. Oh, cheers. Girls trip.
I know, mocktails. Do you want to try?
Cheers.
You know, they say, oh, don't quit your day job, but you should.
Ooh.
Your fairy floss fairy tale fantasy. I made it just for you. Do you love it?
10 out of 10. Oh.
You're giving it back?
And just when you think it couldn't get any cuter, golden hour strolling through Hop Lane, Lydiard Street, Town Hall glowing in the background.
They should get Melbourne Vixens colours. Navy, crimson, teal, just for our weekend in Ballarat. What have we got, Jojo?
And we're back for the final quarter of action between West Coast Fever and New South Wales Swifts at Ballarat Blitz. Thank you to the City of Ballarat and the Victorian Government for making this happen. Now, we saw quite a finish to that third quarter. New South Wales Swifts managed to slot a couple of successful super shots, 3 from 3 actually, so 100% in that quarter. And that's what really opened up that scoreline again.
It really did. Such a difference. The penalties, probably something that the Swifts wanted to clean up a bit at the other end, though, because it's what helped bring Fever back into the game. There have been a couple of changes on court as we see Housby sink the first one for the Swifts, their second half. Nicola Barch has come onto the court into goal shooter out the front of Housby. Oh, what a layup there from Aiken George. Gina Crampton returns to the court, which is going to be great to watch. And Tegan O'Shaughnessy teams up with Maddie Turner this time in the circle.
We haven't seen an Aiken George lay up in throughout this pre-season, throughout this match, so it's great to see she's bringing out the party tricks already. Jauncey with great positioning there and defensive pressure over the shot of Barge.
And then wanting to transition quickly. As Glasgow has returned to the court, of course, in goal attack. Teague Neal returns in wing attack. They were unable to convert. Unfortunately, something they do want to clean up. And we're just seeing another little slip this time from Anstey's. And Housley just takes almost just a Hail Mary back in the air with the hands and sinks a lovely shot to keep the campaign going.
I like that Jauncey went after that ball and tried to attack it. I think that's one thing that this Fever defensive unit are working well to do, just to create that confusion and chaos. And speaking of confusion and chaos, the Swifts have now come up with a defensive win.
And talk about how much Fever came back in that last quarter. They got back to one. Their centre pass conversion was at 92%, which is a brilliant, and any coach would be happy with 92% versus the Swifts at 71. And they were scoring more of their turnovers as well.
Well, we spoke about yesterday in yesterday's match between the Fever and the Vixens that they were struggling with that centre pass conversion, and they really cleaned that up today, and they'd be thrilled with that. And this is a great finish for Aiken George. So keeping them in the contest, just a couple more opportunities and a conversion of a super shot towards the end of the game, and here you go. How about that placement and the drive from Helen Housby? She was happy with that.
I love seeing Housby on the move. I think she's so strong when she's like that. When she gets stagnant is when it's probably more frustrating to watch, because you know that she can give so much. But I'm looking forward to these combinations building, and tell you what, with some of the passes that Crampton's been giving in, it's only going to get better and better as the season goes on.
It's a combination I'm really looking forward to seeing. Crampton is such an experienced head. You know, we've seen her at international and domestic for so long. What a great player to have on your side.
And nice little underhand offload there from Aiken George to Glasgow. Just creating a little bit more space. They both had the front cuts going on.
Beautiful drive from Proud. Barge just popping out at the perfect time.
On Jauncey. The pressure that she put on.
Maddie Proud unable to work herself back up there. And now Helen Housby trying to do the defensive things. Caught the arm of international counterpart and teammate Fran Williams.
It was a brilliant little moment, wasn't it? She's like, what? What?
I didn't
what do you
do
mean
that.
I hit the arm?
Fran Williams just grabbing at her arm to show you hit there.
And now another conversion here from turnover for the Fever. Now the centre pass, can they get this one through? Aiken George coming up quite high for a moment there.
Just O'Shaughnessy not allowing her to drop into that backspace. And how about the speed and hands from the Swifts? But Williams.
Fran Williams ate that up like it was absolute breakfast.
She could see it coming, anticipated it, and just moved the feet. And Aiken George repays her hard work with a nice goal.
Just some great defensive efforts from both sides there, but then it's trying to get the ball down the court smoothly and cleanly. The choice across court maybe not the best.
Just stuck here are the Swifts, unable to get through the hands over pressure that the Fever are applying. And that's a nice move by Barge, just angling her body.
Just can't find the touch on it on the shot at the moment, can Barge.
Now Jauncey reloads, just hugging that sideline and now working their way through the middle. Williams coming up, sitting on that transverse line, and once again Aiken George just caught up high. O'Shaughnessy really working her into that space, but not for long. That quick roll off.
Yeah, and George wanted that. Aiken George rather wanted that a little bit earlier than it came, but it's still a perfect delivery.
And you blink and you look at the scoreboard, it's 53-54. And that's a coach killer, because that would have got them back onto level pegging.
Now looking to transition through the Swifts. Barge is coming out wide. Found the edge of the circle, not quite. Crampton places it up and over for Housby. A bit too much from Williams, maybe in the body and the face.
Such great balance there from Crampton, just to hold that on one leg. Both players in Housby and Jauncey looking at each other saying, how did that happen? That is a tactical timeout. Is it? No, it's not. Called it too early.
Just changing out the ball.
Well, we did mention this earlier, saying we wonder if we'll see a ball change.
And they're likely to have done that at those tactical timeouts previously as well, just a quick ball change. And you often just don't notice.
So seamless, but that one, there we go. Helen Housby slots another, so they've just increased that margin back out to 3 goals. A fake there from Glasgow, and hands here, there, and everywhere, but Aiken George comes up with the goods, repositions, and adds another one to her tally.
Aiken George, he holds it for such a long time, just at the apex there, and she's got to be a little bit careful, depending on how quickly she's turned around, whether that's going to result in a couple of held balls.
It's funny because it keeps the defenders guessing, doesn't it, when she going to release it. Didn't catch. What was that penalty for?
It was a held ball.
Held ball.
Yeah, caught me by surprise as well as you.
Quite quick. We were just talking about held balls, so we'll keep an eye on it. Maybe that's something they're picking up. A bit of shooter-to-shooter interplay, and Aiken George finds herself under the post and on the goal line, exactly where she likes to be, and it is 1 goal the difference. A tactical timeout, 55-56. New South Wales Swifts the one calling that.
Yeah, probably had a couple of messy plays that they just want to clean up that the Fever were able to convert and score off. So trying to get that all sorted, both in attack and in defence. The Fever will be a bit happier with how they're travelling with aspects, getting it through. Other than that, course, coach killer contact that had been called. Let's see what they got to bring from this break and what changes they may make.
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The changes that may bring, I think for the Fever at the moment, they'd be happy with how they've come out. Jauncey really attacking those high balls that are coming in and creating that confusion and doubt in defence. And for the Swifts, it's just having that moment to settle and just kind of go back to those connections that they know are working so strong.
And 30 seconds left of this chat that they're having. The defenders for the Fever having both Gordo and Shani Layton chatting to them and working through. That's a couple of strong voices to hear there.
Plenty of information to take in, that's for sure. And you can see Shani Layton talking directly to Jauncey. It was before, so what a wealth of knowledge they have.
And of course, Shani Layton had been doing some coaching work in the VNL this past year before getting this opportunity to move across to the Fever in assistant coach role. And now the Fever, they've got the centre pass coming out of the timeout. It was the Swifts call, and let's see what happens here.
Fran Williams backwards to go forwards, and Anstis, I've liked her role since coming into that centre position. She just provides such defensive strength for them. And I think earlier on they were getting a little bit lost through that structure, and she really just provided that extra layer of hands over pressure.
Now we have seen a change for the Swifts. Half expected there, well chased up. Oh, brilliant. Is Housby's gone back into the shooter position, and Grace White out the front at goal attack.
We kind of called this earlier on, especially when we were talking around the super shot position and whether we'll see the two of them in there and the dynamic movement and shooting ability that they have. So I wonder if this will stay for the remaining 7 minutes of the game, but that shot falls short and Fran Williams there to pick it up. And now all of a sudden West Coast Fever have their tails up.
And the obstruction call, unfortunately, going against Fran Williams. I think she was trying to screen to come off. A little bit too much on her. Let's get our jail card in the attacking third there for the Swifts.
Very lucky. And that's a beautiful shot from White and from range. And that was the more of the confidence we saw in that opening quarter. How about the confidence and pass there? That was spectacular from Caitlin Brown. We haven't spoken much about her, but she has had such a strong game.
Haven't spoke about her in the sense that, not that she hasn't done anything, it's just, she just kept going, and she's been able to keep her wing attacks relatively quiet, which is an absolute testament when a wing defence, they're not necessarily getting all the intercepts, but they're shutting down.
They absolutely are, and there's good hands over pressure. Jauncey with the chase, and Fever quick into attack. And out to Alice Teague-Neal, Glasgow over the top. And the fingertip control from Aiken George. But O'Shaughnessy.
Just frustrated with herself as there. Well, Aiken George, I think it's like it semi-slipped the way it hit the front of the ring.
It definitely did, and she, as you mentioned, just was not happy with herself. Let that one slide. That was their moment for the Fever to get in front, and beautiful footwork from Housby just to move around Jauncey into that back space.
And it is still with centre pass now. There was an opportunity there to get that little break for Fever.
You can see that there's a clear tactic from the Swifts to sit up nice and high and allow Aiken George to have that back space. She was calling for it earlier on that play. They just missed her, and now Glasgow looking to do some damage from range, and she slots it, slaps the hands together, and that's what she's been looking for.
And she did that classic where she receives it on the first and then wants to create a different angle, but she goes with so much confidence when she does that. I dare say other teams might start picking up on shutting down that angle, and it just gets answered at the other end. Helen Housby.
Super shot shootout, here we come. Alice Teague-Neild having to go backwards before they can find a way forward. Aiken George caught outside of the circle, which we don't often see. And just no one coming towards the ball. And somehow...
Well, I think the reaction of Fran Williams said it all, wasn't it? That she'd been helped across the line, perhaps. But very difficult to see from that position. We have the perfect view straight down the side.
Gina Crampton looking ever so innocent in all of that. And that's a nice screen there from the teammates and allowed Grace White to sneak in at the back.
And then all of a sudden back out to two with the centre pass. Missed opportunity there from the Fever. It also says that sometimes resetting all the way to the line from the edge of the circle when you're in the pocket isn't ideal. But they need to work on something else within that third to try and create.
That was great hands there from Teague-Neild. She managed to sneak a fingertip in, and it just landed in the lap of her teammates. Now they're quick into attack. Just setting up that play. Beautiful drive to the top, and Aiken George opens up. But it's Sasha Glasgow that's going to be looking to go for that too. And once again, Matt, you're on the money. She looked to reposition. Falls short, Aiken George.
Oh, what a rebound, what an offload.
Somehow managed to keep that all going in one movement.
I think she knew if she didn't offload, she was going to fall over with it. And Glasgow just gets a couple of wipes of the dress. Third time's a charm. No, it isn't.
And Aiken George will reel that one in. Bit of a yips down in this end. Maybe the aircon's blowing too hard.
Glasgow this time.
There we go. That's what they've been looking for. A couple of bites of the cherry, and all of a sudden we are at level pegging, 61 apiece, 2.5 to play.
Back with the centre pass, a huge difference that makes. Are they going to go for the two or the one here is the question. Got to get it in though. Great ball in under the post. And being ready for that underhand pass this time from Aiken George. Probably a smidge too casual on that particular one.
Just a little, and it's also just playing with the defenders, knowing that they're going to go for that 2-point shot. And it falls short, and now Sasha Glasgow managed to pick up the crumbs. Is she going to sink it?
No, the action she had with that one was never looking right. She just fell out of it completely.
There's a few. She doesn't look comfortable on the shot now, and just offloading to Aiken George. So chewing up some valuable time, but it keeps their noses in front.
Yeah, the Swifts, they're going to want to transition quickly. They're going to want to get in front with this one. Looking for the 2-point wide. Turns. Rebound is pulled in by Jauncey. There was a strong box out.
Clever move by the Fever defence, just not allowing either White or Housby front option. And that's a good hold by Aiken George. It just hits the front of the ring. She's cramped for space. She's looking at Maddie Turner saying, move over just a bit.
Unfortunately, not under the shooting arm there. It could be argued, but 63-61. But certainly very tight and ready to rebound is something that Turner's doing well.
Fever just happy to play the ball around here, chew up some valuable time.
And now they're just getting on top of each other. Glasgow probably a bit too much in the action there. They shut off the drive of Teague-Neild, and now getting a little bit more depth. looking for options. Happy to kick it back and go again. Now up and in. Aiken George was never going to turn and look at that.
Not her place, not her real estate. That is. And that is a great goal. So all of a sudden, the Fever have now completely taken control. 25 seconds, a super shot and a miracle, really, for the Swifts if they are to even this game out.
There is time. They're going to want to score quickly first, and this too is what they're aiming for. Housby unable. Fran Williams, brilliant rebound. And unless there's a miracle occurs, I think the Fever are going to complete this game with the lead for the first time of the match, really.
And we could end with an Aiken George super shot. Too much on that one. 1-2, Hail Mary pass, and Jauncey with the last touch of the match. And what a game that was, Matt. Swifts led for pretty much that entire thing. 64-61. It was the Fever that ended up with the win.
Well, it was the second half. Basically, it started going all the way to the Fever. The first quarter was 15 Fever, 22 to the Swifts. So a great scoring first quarter. It was up and about. We said how frantic and way the ball was moving. Second quarter was the way of the Swifts still, but 14-15 that time. Third quarter started swinging Fever's way, 17-14, and then the last one, 18-10.
Yeah, the last quarter really showcased the difference, didn't it? 18-10, and Aiken George combination with Sasha Glasgow really started to come out strong, and those connections throughout the midcourt started to get on top of the New South Wales Swifts. What a great preseason we've had so far. We've got one more game to come. Adelaide Thunderbirds v the Melbourne Vixens in the next match. What a day.
Oh, what a day ahead. Still plenty of action. Join us again for that next one after a little bit of a break. And tell you what, grab a cuppa, join us again.
Sounds good.